Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of JMC Vlog. The reason we're doing this one is because a lot of stuff has happened, and also some funny stuff has happened. The first thing that happened that we want to share about is over the past few days, almost a week now, we've done another fundraiser, and this time it was for a lady that lives right here in our hometown of Chillicothe, Ohio, and in like 4 days we raised all the funds to help her. And what it was for was she had an outstanding electric bill that she was unable to pay, and because there's all the government assistance has run out because everything uh, re I don't know what it's called. Money comes back in for the winter, so all the funds that came in for the winter, everybody didn't have anymore. So we pulled together and just did an online fundraiser, and also some local people here in our town donated, and we raised the funds. And the reason we needed to raise it so quickly was because she had an apartment waiting for her and her children, uh, but if they couldn't pay the bill within 10 days, they were going to lose their apartment and be placed at the back at the bottom of the list for housing. And they'd already waited over a year for housing. So this was definitely a serious need. I mean, her children weren't even living with her. She was sleeping on the floor of someone else's apartment. Really, the family was split up and homeless. So, all of you that prayed, gave, supported us in this, we thank you very much. And, God's just really done a lot of awesome stuff. um, And then the funny thing that happened, Tuesday evening, I left our house, to go to my grandmother's, which is only 15 minutes away. And when I got out, and I got about 9 minutes from her house, it was like a tornado hit. And I was driving through hail. The wind was so strong it was actually rocking my truck back and forth. I could feel it kind of bouncing my truck up and down. Uh, Power lines were down. I couldn't get down the road I needed to go to my grandmother's. Two power line poles were down, and where I turned around right next to where they had fallen, and a lady in a van was coming, and she nearly slammed into the power line poles because it was raining so hard she couldn't see. And I just blared my horn, and luckily when I blared my horn, she realized, oh my lord, there's something in the road, and she slammed the brakes on, and I don't even think there was an inch between her and the power line pole. But luckily, I went back around, I circled around, but I got on a main highway, which was a lot open, and there weren't a lot of trees near the road, which I knew I wouldn't have any problems. So I got on the main highway, and I got to the point where I couldn't even see the drive, and I had dime-sized hail hitting my windshield. And so I got underneath an overpass with some other people, and I just sat and waited. And literally, I had never driven through anything like that before. I've never seen my parents drive through anything like that before. And the only way to describe it, it was like an F1 tornado force winds and rain. And what the weird thing was, there was no tornado watches, there was no tornado warnings, there were just severe thunderstorm warnings. And what I went through, it was definitely very similar to a tornado. And power lines down, trees uprooted right out of the ground, buildings sustained damage. And I finally made it to my grandmother's about 30 minutes later, and my husband's Jeremy's screaming at me, like, you need to turn around and come back. You need to turn around and come back. And I said, I can't. I said, there's no way I'm going to make it, because then we found out later that there had been a tree fallen here in town on our road, and it was probably blocking where I could even get back home. So it was better off that I was on the highway where I was and just circle around. But I got to my grandma's okay, and everybody's freaking out because it was so bad. And I said the only thing I was mad about was I didn't have my video camera to shoot it. No, so I'm calling it like my first experience storm chasing, but I really wasn't trying to storm chase. It just happened. And so I called my mom, and because she has a scanner, so she was hearing everything. And I said, hey, I just went through this storm. And she says, girl, you don't have enough sense to even be scared. I said, well, maybe not. She goes, you're not afraid. I said, no, I wasn't afraid. I thought it was cool. So then I spent the night at my grandma's Tuesday night because I had to have a test run on me. It's called a Gastro Emptying test, and I had this done 3 years ago when they found out my stomach was damaged, and basically I have gastroparesis. And in 3 years, I've just gotten worse and worse, even being on medication. And so Tuesday night, I couldn't eat. I couldn't take my medication that helps me, not get sick and vomit. I couldn't take any acid pill. I couldn't take anything. So I go to bed and I was sick all night. I did not get any sleep. My grandmother didn't get any sleep. I was in and out of the bathroom, sick. So seven o'clock comes and I have to get up and get ready to go. And we get out there to the hospital and I'm sick. And I'm like, oh my Lord, I'm gonna throw up what they have to give me to eat. And so they take me back and I have to eat radioactive eggs. Yeah. So I ate the eggs and immediately I start getting sick. And I told the lady, I said, I've been sick all night, I haven't been able to take my medicine. So they take me in the room, in the testing room, and you just lay on a slab. It's got a little bit of padding, about this much, but everything else is just metal and it's just a slab. And you have to lay there on that slab after eating those radioactive eggs for 2 hours. So I'm laying flat on my back. I feel like I'm gonna throw up. I don't know what's gonna happen. I just willed myself to not get sick. I just started praying, Lord, I have to keep this down because if I don't, then they're gonna cancel the test and I'll have to pay for this. So I willed myself some way somehow to keep these eggs down, and 2 hours later, I finally got done with the test. 3 years ago, they just laid you on the slab and just said, okay, we'll be back in 2 hours. You're laying there for 2 hours, nothing to do. Well, this time around, they have movies for me to watch. So I'm laying on my back and they have a screen right above my head. And they said, what do you want to watch? And they had a list. And so I watched Princess Diaries 2. And as soon as the movie went off, basically, the test was over with. And I was so happy. So, so I came home. Well, actually, I went back to my grandma's and uh, I slept for 3 hours. I was sick all day yesterday, and my stomach problems are just continuing to get worse. And the the thing that we're wondering is if if the medication doesn't work, the only other option to possibly try to get me better is to have surgery where they put a pacemaker on the side of my stomach and shock my stomach to process my food. And I don't want to. I really hope maybe they can put me on some medication that will, get my stomach to want to digest. It's a really horrible thing to go through, and there are a lot of people that have made videos here on YouTube that struggle with this and have shared their journey through struggling with gastroparesis. And you know, all I can ask you to do is pray, because there's really nothing else that's going to fix my stomach except for the Lord. And so that's what's been going on. And also, I've started making some more hats and scarves. I have uh, 26 items, 26 items altogether, hats and scarf sets made for this coming winter's Mitten Expedition. Year 2. We're going into year 2, so. And so far, I haven't had to ask for any yarn. I've got plenty of yarn from last year that was donated. But as soon as, if we need any yarn, we'll put out a video. We'll say, hey, we need some yarn. If anybody has some, good yarn that's laying around their house they want to donate, or if they want to buy, because without the help of the community and people that follow the ministry, really, these little projects, these little fundraisers, we couldn't do it alone. There's just no way. So, but we'll keep you updated on the Smitten Mitten expedition for this year, and we'll be posting pictures of all the items. I've got some really neat uh, color schemes for the hats and scarves this year. I just finished a neon yellow, pink, and green hat and scarf, and I really love it. And already I've got some of Jeremy's friends asking me to make them a hat scarf set for this winter. So I didn't think a guy would like it, but they like them. So I'm gonna make something for them for Christmas. But I'm gonna end this video. It's been almost 11 minutes, so I'm sure you're tired of hearing me ramble. But God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye.